Hi, everybody. I thought I would do a review of Andor just because I kind of wanted to discuss or talk about some things I've noticed with this show for those first 3 episodes. Unlike Kenobi, I only watched it twice. Unfortunately, the first time I watched it, I was like really tired and I like fell asleep and I woke up. I was like, all of a sudden, I see this one actress. I'm like, who the heck is she? And I was like, what happened? So I had to rewatch it, which I didn't do that with Kenobi. I don't know if just because I maybe wasn't as like stressed out potentially or as exhausted because it was the end of May when it came out into the summer, so I wasn't at work. Or well, I guess on my year-round job. I was going into my summer job, and that's different than my normal job. If that makes any sense. But I wanted to discuss. I think it's interesting that Andor is pretty adult. And what do I mean? Like the very first sequence, he's going into a brothel pretty much, right? And he's talking about like the girl, right, that he's looking for. And the lady that he's talking to thinks obviously that's like his taste and a sexual partner. And I found that interesting that we went there, like, in Star Wars because, that topic has never been addressed in Star Wars. Obviously, okay, let's be honest, people are having sex in Star Wars, right? Because, Luke and Leia clearly came from Padme and Anakin having sex. Like, not to dampen anybody's mood or anything, or make people grossed out to think about that. But that's clearly or Hera and Kanan, right, because they have a kid. And the only person we know that didn't have sex is Shmi, because she had a virginal birth, right? So I guess the Force was Anakin's father. So, much like Mary had Jesus and she was a virgin, Shmi is the same. Now, for anyone that's upset by that's what it was. I just saying, I don't know why that would be angering anyone. It's been like, what, over 20 years now since The Phantom Menace came out. It's time to move on. But in terms of like just having that just even talked about, like very subtly too, like they're not being super explicit that that's what that area is, it's very subtle, like, right, what other girl might mark your fancy type of thing. Or I think we're here first, right? That's what the guys were saying. They needed to be serviced first. They're drinking, so clearly they've been served food and drink, or right? But they're obviously talking about having the girls around. And I think it's Binks. Is that how we say her name? Binks, like the cat from Hocus Pocus, I think. Sorry, I was looking at I think I got bitten by something. It's just happening so much. I'm so tired of the bugs. Summer can't end soon. Actually, it did end, but it's Arizona and it never ends. It does get cold though in a couple of months. Anyways, she went to that guy's house. I actually don't entirely know the characters' names off of memory. Confessing right now. But she went to that guy's house that she works with and are kissing, right? And that's obviously something we've seen before in Star Wars. But then she wakes up the next morning. She's in the bed that he was in, and she's just wearing like a tank top and like her underwear, I guess you could say, and she like puts on her pants. I was like, whoa, that's new, because obviously we have like Anakin. He would be shirtless, right, when he sleeps. I mean, that was as as risque as George Lucas went, was having Anakin shirtless for 2 scenes. And I mean, all you see is like Padme and Anakin sleeping next to each other, right? So, and he's wearing his pants. He's just not wearing a shirt. She's wearing a really long dress. So, I don't know. That to me felt more adult, if that makes any sense. Like, based on the fact that they were kissing in that previous scene, that gave me that vibe that it was a sexual moment between the two. And it's not like I said, it's not explicit. It's like subtle. So I mean, it is more adult than some of the other Star Wars properties are, at least in my mind. And I thought that was interesting that we're going that way. It is going against, George Lucas's vision for Star Wars, because he always envisioned. Hold on. He always envisioned that Star Wars would be a children's series. Now I would see some people debate that because like they had Anakin slaughter the children and so forth. But again, like think about fairy tales, right? Fairy tales were obviously told the children in the past, and they're quite dark. And so he's, reflecting our world and that past, that traditional storytelling of folklore, mythology, fairy tales, where it wasn't the sunshine and rainbows type of situation. Well, ironically, it's not like a Disney version. And when I say that, though, I want to point out that, like, the early Disney films did have a bit of darkness in it. Like, have anyone ever watched Pinocchio? Like, that sequence when they turn into donkeys is absolutely terrifying. So, to me, like, there is a bit of darkness in those very early Disney films. And I think, like, later on, it's shifted into being more light. I don't know when it did, off the top of my head. But I can think of some sequences in those early Disney films that are pretty terrifying. Chernobog, anybody? Night on Bald Mountain in Fantasia. That's scary. Like, that is scary. When you're little, right? And obviously, I think that's the reason why George Lucas put certain things like that into Star Wars, is because he's intending for that little bit of darkness in there, like in the traditional story sense. And yeah, you have characters like Jar Jar in the Ewoks to kind of lighten the mood, or 3PO and R2, Yoda in Empire, right? Like these comedic moments where it lightens the mood. In this show, I don't know, it's pretty dark most of the time, I would say, or more adults than it's normally is for Star Wars. So I thought that was interesting. I do have a smidge of a complaint. Going, like, the constant, like, the way they did the flashbacks. First of all, there's a lot, which is great. I'm not complaining about that. But I was like, I don't know, like, the way, like, why we're getting a flashback? If that, any sense. Like, in the present day storyline, is like when Cassian is like looking off into the distance. Is that why we're having a flashback? Because he's thinking about it, or is he just looking into the distance? Like, maybe, I don't know. Because there was quite a few flashbacks, and again, I didn't mind. I kind of wish there was more like flashbacks in Kenobi. I'm just gonna throw that out there, but other than that, that was my only complaints, really. A lot of people complained about it being slow. I felt like it was a good build-up in my mind, not necessarily slow. At least to me it wasn't, but I really enjoyed the show. I can tell you that. I think it's interesting. It's fascinating to think about that Cassian Andor, at least the vibe I'm getting from these first 3 episodes, the Stellan Skarsgård character, right, is trying to recruit him, I think, and he's looking for Cassian, clearly, because he came in person, right? So, give me a second. So, I wonder if, like, part of the reason why they are trying to recruit him is because he has had, like, maybe those issues with the law, and they maybe think that could be used to their advantage. I don't know. So I'm just wondering. I guess we'll find out in the next 9 episodes. It's crazy to think this has 12 episodes. That's a little upsetting to me. Just because I love that there's 12 episodes, but it's upsetting because Kenobi only had 6, and I feel like there was a lot more they could do with Kenobi, especially before, like, the Leia adventure with Kenobi. Just saying, like, I would have loved some more time on flashbacks. Maybe they could have also built up Reva a bit more, and have more scenes with the Inquisitors if there was more time to spend on the characters. I don't know, was it more expensive than some of the other shows? Because Andor seems to have a lot of the same, like, effects, as far as I can tell, as Kenobi or Mando, Boba. Like, they're using puppets, they're using CGI, I'm going to assume. So I was confused as to why Andor is getting 12 episodes where the other shows don't. But that also tells me that maybe Kenobi's not the limited series that they made it out to be. We'll probably get a season 2, let's be honest. Because it made the money, right? It was pretty popular. So I can see it happening. Anyways, yeah. I didn't think the build-up was slow. Trying to think. I love the droid. The droid's really cute. The droid kind of reminds me of Wally for some reason. I was thinking Wally, and I accidentally called him Wally. I was like, "Look, there's Wally." I guess of, like, maybe, like, it's the kind of the shape of him where he is very Wally-like. But I thought he's adorable. He's just like, Cassian. Like, do we get to see more of this droid, or is he only in these, like, episodes and that's it, and he's gone? And I wonder if that's why he gets K2SO, right? Later on. I'm curious as how long they were together too. I wonder if he's gonna show up in these 12 episodes. I'm very curious. Because is this covering all 5 years, or is it only a year, a couple months? Like, I don't know. I guess we'll see, right? But I love the droid. And the locations are pretty interesting. Can I just say, thank goodness there wasn't a desert planet. There's, like, the one Cassian's on when he's a child, and it's like a jungle-y, like, place. And I thought, that's cool, yeah. Finally something new. And then the seedy underworld that he went to in the beginning of the show, and then where he lives currently. I thought that was all really good stuff right there. That's good. Location-wise, we're doing good. We're getting out of the desert. Thank you. They're listening. I mean, I don't mind going to Tatooine. Just saying. I don't mind going to Naboo and all those places that we've seen before. But I don't want it to be that's the only, like, I guess the only type of planet, right? Desert. Because Jakku was a desert. And then, wasn't there one in episode 9? What was that planet called? That they went to. They found the dagger. That was a desert. There's Tatooine, of course. There is what my dad has officially dubbed the Southern California Desert, right? In Kenobi. It's in the 3rd episode. Mapuzo. Alright, that's a desert. Um, there was another one, I think. I think there was one in Rebels, too. There was a desert planet, and it wasn't any of those. I'm like, how many planets are deserts? For one. And two, why are people living on them? Like, I don't know. Especially one like Tatooine, where it's just like you have to farm for water. You know what I mean? Tatooine looks like a miserable place to live. But I'm just glad we're at new locations. I'm really excited. I love the fact that there's more, like Cassian's back, and then Binks, I think, the female character, is also, she's Latino, she's a Latina, excuse me, which is awesome. I love it. I'm so excited that he's back and she's in the show. I'm wondering if she's going to be around longer. I feel like she might be. Who knows? Maybe in a few episodes we'll find out. I wonder if she'll be in the next one. I guess I'll find out tonight. For episode 4 of Andor. But I'm liking it. I do think a big part of the plot will pick up more in the next 9 episodes, because they're going to introduce, obviously, Mon Mothma, which is so exciting. Love it. I'm so glad that actress got to come back, because she was only in the deleted scenes for Revenge of the Sith. I would love, like, a extended cut of Revenge of the Sith. I know George Lucas isn't big on those things. I think Taika Waititi is the same way, because that was the one thing I felt about Thor: Love and Thunder, was needed to be longer. Just needed to be longer. Come on, man. Like, why'd you make it so short? But by the way, I love Revenge of the Sith as is, but I would love to see how those themes are incorporated into the story overall. I think it'll be fabulous. Plus, it'd be nice to see, like, more of Bail Organa and get to see Mon Mothma in the story interacting with Padme. And kind of see how her story is playing out alongside Anakin's, and why maybe, like, adding a bit more to the, like, why he's so jealous. They kind of had that there in some of the scenes. But again, I love the movie as is. It's my favorite Star Wars film is Revenge of the Sith. Forever, for always. I think it's perfect. I really do. Like, it sounds like I was criticizing it, but honestly, if you can't criticize a film, like, it's perfect to me, but I will sit down and be like, yeah, we could have had more with Padme, absolutely. Of course, she is my favorite character, but whatever. Right? Anyways, that's all I had to say about Andor. I mean, a lot didn't happen in the first episodes, the first 3, right? I think the next 9 is, excuse me, is where it's going to pick up. And that's where, like, a lot's going to start happening. I think this one was to kind of reintroduce Andor, right? Because we've seen him before in Rogue One. To get us familiar with our new characters like Binks and the one guy that's played by Stellan Skarsgård. And the lady that was Harry Potter's aunt. And that lady... It was funny because when we were watching it, everyone's like, she looks so familiar, and I look like my sister had to go and get herself blown up. Right? And we got stuck with you. I had to, like, quoted her as a scene in Harry Potter. I'm like, oh, that's right. But she will forever be associated as that character. Probably more so for that character than this one. Let's be honest. Like, she's always going to be associated with Harry Potter. Whereas I think Diego Luna will be associated with Andor. You know what I mean? Like, specific people, like, they kind of get stuck with that one character, no matter how many franchises they might do. Like, Christian Bale will probably always be Batman, right? Even though he was Gore, the God Butcher, in Thor, right? Or, trying to think who else. Like, Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool, but he also played the Green Lantern, right? So, yeah. Anyways, overall, it's a solid start, man. It's really good. I'm enjoying it. It's another. I think it's another win, Mr. Mouse. Right? I think it's a win. Hopefully it keeps being good, right? Knock on wood. Hopefully it stays good. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.